first, live, local. This is Fox 12 Now.
Hello everyone, this is Fox 12 Now. I'm Greg Nibbler. There's our live look from our Shriners camp of downtown Portland. And you know, it looks a little cloudy right now. I don't see a lot of rain out there, but wouldn't be surprised if there was some. However, if you were like me, last night I got a ton of downpours that went on, and I discovered a bunch of things that I need to fix on my house, which is why this segment's going to be really good right here. So make sure you can tune into our show every weekday starting around 1 p.m. We go throughout the afternoon. We're on the Fox 12 Oregon YouTube channel, KPTV.com, the Fox 12 Oregon app. But Thursdays around 1:30, we are joined by Eric Goranson from Around the House Northwest with always some great advice, a preview of this week's episode, but this one is very pertinent to me. I was actually outside at my house. I've got a pergola area that I was hanging out at, and I discovered I have a lot of leaks that I did not know about. Yeah.
Well, that's what you need to do. I mean, that's the first thing I tell people to do. You know, it's been a while since we've had rain. You know, put on that jacket, go walk around and look for stuff, because that's the best test, is when it's raining really hard.
Yep, I found out where I need to make some repairs, but there's a lot more that I need to be doing as well, and that's why this is gonna be some good advice for everybody out there.
Oh man, this is always fun on Thursdays. I always enjoy it, and this is that time of year that you know, we're kind of in that early fall, late summer, so there's some time to actually go out and fix stuff before you're doing it out, you know, in the soaking rains, and so it's a great time to dive in. But like I said, the first thing I always do, go walk around the house outside, take a look. See what's going on. If you've got, you know, gutters dripping down that are leaning or clogged, make sure those things are dialed in. And then one of the biggest ones that causes so many flooded basements and crawl spaces is those downspouts. You know, those should be going into a storm drain system that goes underground and out. You know, so many houses around here, it drops right next to the foundation, and that's just a guarantee to cause damage to the foundation. You know, put water in the basement or crawl space, and it's a really easy DIY project to get it at least 10 feet away from the house.
Yeah, I think that's one that a lot of people don't realize, and I honestly didn't before you've told me about that before, so it's got to be 10 feet away. Do you recommend like just running one of those extensions that you can buy, you know, a hardware store or Home Depot, or do you recommend like digging a trench? And
you know, those are a good emergency fix if you've got a problem, but really they don't seal up all that well, and they get kicked around and they get moved around, and so they're not the permanent fix. But really what you can do is just run down to your, you know, hardware store and get down there into some 3 or 4 inch ABS or PVC pipe, dig it down, run it out, call before you dig, and get it at least 10 feet out. They make these cool little pop-ups that you can put out in the middle of the lawn. Basically, is once you get it 10 feet out, you can actually put some of that perforated pipe, so it'll go back into the groundwater right there. Or you can do a pop-up at the end, and that way it runs down the lawn. Just got to keep it away from that. When you got to think about it, you know, if you've got a section of gutter on a house and you get an inch of rain, that could be 50 to 100 gallons of water, and you're putting it right next to the foundation. So you're just kind of point loading this huge amount of water right next to it. So it's just asking to find the easiest path into the lowest point, which is going to be underneath your house. So it's really easy to do that. There are plenty of companies that do it if you don't want to do it yourself, but little digging, it's not that big a deal.
Yeah. Okay. That's great. So good advice right there. So that's one thing to start thinking about and getting it done now before it's pouring down rain. You don't want to do it constantly. Yeah. So what's another one?
You know, like at my house here, when I first moved into this in 2019, my whole driveway comes right down to my garage door. And when we get those like super heavy downpours or we get ice and stuff, it just wouldn't drain. And so I'd actually get water inside the garage, underneath the garage door. And so what I did is I actually went in and had a trough drain made. And those are those little tiny trough drains, almost like a gutter that you see, they're the long lineal ones. And so I put that in, I cut the asphalt back, put that in and hooked it into a system, and then it's 20 feet long in front of the garage door. So now when the water comes down, it grabs it, and I don't have any of that water issues there because I could get it moved away. But now's the time to really start working on those things. If you've got grading issues or the driveway is sloping right to your house and it's something that you always fight. I mean, in the wintertime, I used to have to put a sump pump down in there in the little drain system because it couldn't handle it. Now I think I got it figured out, but it's always a battle. And then you got to keep those things clean. That's one of the biggest ones people forget.
Yeah. Cleaning it out, and especially with all the debris and stuff that's going to be getting into everything.
Yeah, I recommend that if you've got that gutter downspout system that goes into your storm drain system, have a plumbing company come out and water jet that about every 5 years, because that gets plugged up with all the dirt and debris off the roof. Even if you've got gutter covers on there, go ahead and get that done about every 5 years. And that way it's not, bubbling up into a plug system and putting water back down on there again. That's just a simple one, but every 5 years, it'll get the mud out of there, get it cleaned up, and it'll be working good for another 5.
All right, so a good long-term solution right there, and something to maintain. Yeah, every 5 years, just make a note on your calendar or something. Like, okay, got to get that thing done. So what are some other ones that people should be doing?
Another one that is important is these days, I usually say, hey, get your head down in that crawl space or basement, take a look around in the heavy rains, make sure you don't get water in there. But now there's all these little smart devices like this. It's just a little plastic puck. This is made by Acora, and you can get these on Amazon or whatever, and they're smart water sensors. So when it detects water, there's a couple little screws down here on the bottom. Once those things ground out, it says, hey, there's water, and it gives you a notification on your phone. So you don't have to go sticking your head down there. If it has water, it's going to tell you, and they're pretty inexpensive. You can get a fistful of those for under $100, throw them around the basement down there, and or crawl space. You can stick them down there, and if you've got water issues, you're going to find out when and where.
So you just kind of set it on the ground and
set it on a hard surface, and if water gets up on it, it doesn't take like a 1/16 of an inch of water just to get across there.
Wow.
And it's going to start sending you a notification, and it's really easy. Hooks into your Wi-Fi system, and it'll tell you when you've got water issues in those areas, so you don't have to go down and keep looking for it and making sure that you're checking up on it. So it's an easy way to test it out and put it in those low points. So if you get water down there, you'll know you got to deal with the problem.
That's great. So that's sorry, I was almost going to sneeze there. That's a great solution. So yeah, again, I love anything that's incorporating smart tech and things like that make your life easier, and also probably a lot more accurate. And you're going to know what's going on way ahead of time, rather than having to crawl down there constantly.
Yeah, half the time it seems it's pouring when you're either at work or you're at home sleeping, and so at least you got something keeping an eye on that space. And then if you've got a basement, just make sure you're moving away stuff off those concrete walls and stuff down there. So many people will stack boxes up in one corner. What happens though is that moisture is always wicking through that concrete, especially an older house. It's even more porous. So what happens is those boxes and the holiday decorations or whatever have got maybe an inch, or they're almost touching the concrete wall. Many times that just turns out to be black mold back there, and you get that going. So make sure that you've got proper airflow between things that are stacked up against that cold and damp concrete foundation, and then just keep an eye on it. That's the thing, making sure that you don't have those issues down there.
All right. So definitely good advice on that. And there's a lot of old homes around here with basements. I've got one. I'm going to be double checking that tonight to make sure that I've got everything away from there. Any other good advice for people? Or?
Yeah. One last one. When you're keeping an eye on that basement down there, go out and just jump out and buy one of those inexpensive weather stations that shows the relative humidity. You can put the sensor down there, and maybe the home one that you'd put inside, go put that on the other side of the basement, go down and start taking a look. If you have over 60% relative humidity, you're growing mold someplace. And so you want to keep that down. So that's one of the things. If you're above 60%, that's what gets you that musty, stale smelling basement where you're like, oh, it smells like a rotten old basement. Well, that's that moisture down there. So if you can get that under 60%, it's going to lead to much healthier home, because all that air, over 60% of that is now ending up in your house, even if you had it sealed off. So you want to make sure and not have that moldy air down there. So keep that underneath there with some dehumidifiers, and don't get the little plug-in cheapy ones that you get at the home center. If you're going to put a dehumidifier in, put a mounted one in the system that's sized for the space. It's going to save you a ton of money on electricity, because they're so much more efficient than, little air conditioners are. It's kind of the difference between having an HVAC system and a window air conditioner. Big energy savings between the two.
Yeah, huge difference. I think just to follow up on that, so you get one of those weather stations, you put it down there, and obviously I'm asking for myself, but I'm sure for other people out there. So you put a weather station down there, monitor that, and if it's 60%, so then a dehumidifier would be probably one of the best things to go for.
Absolutely. It's going to automatically clean that air down there, because those things, as they dehumidify, a lot of them have HEPA filters in them as well. So you're just going to have so much cleaner air in the house, and you're going to eliminate that chance of mold down there, just because you've got that humidity down low enough. Mold's not going to grow.
All right. So real good advice there for everybody out there, anybody here in the Northwest especially, and things to start thinking about before this rain starts showing up. All right, let's talk about around the house Northwest. What can we? I know we can't give away everything, but is there
I'll
anything?
give you kind of, it's a different show now, so this is a lot
Yeah.
of fun. If you missed last week's show, it's kind of the reveal of our next new season here, and it's a half-hour format, and we're much more themed, and we're getting into a lot of different things that we weren't before. So we're having a ton of fun with it. This show is kind of alternative homes or alternative living. So we go take a look at this really cool container home company that makes stuff. I went down and took a look at it. Absolutely. I mean, this place, it's Skyline Homes. Those guys down there are building manufactured homes, and I absolutely love them. They are like, to me, the answer for affordable housing right now, because I tell you what, if you go walk through one of those places and go walk through $1 million home that's for sale in your neighborhood, you're going to look at the quality of that Skyline home and go, yeah, I'll take that over here for so much less, because they're built inside and they're high quality. So we're taking a look at all these different ways of building homes. And then we went and looked at kind of pole barns that you could make into barn dominiums if you wanted to.
Wow. So a barn dominium? That's
like taking a barn and putting a house in it.
Man, that's cool. So I love that. So a theme for alternative homes, and anything else that you can share with us, or?
I'm just gonna have to leave it.
Okay,
at that.
we're gonna have to leave it at that. I know, and that's fair, because that's plenty of tease right there.
Yeah, the container homes were cool too, because they look like, what I liked about these guys is they have container homes. The outside look like containers, so you got that a little bit of industrial look, but you get inside and it's like you're in a luxury home.
Okay, I can't wait to see this. And for everybody out there who wants to know how to check out this episode, what's the where, when, and how?
All right, this one's going to air on Saturday, 10 a.m., Fox 12 Plus. If you missed last week's show that was awesome, you want to check that out tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. on Fox 12 Plus on that replay. And of course, we have it on Sunday at 6 p.m. So Sunday, if you hadn't catch it, make sure and do that, and make sure and set your DVRs.
All right, Eric, always good to have you on here. Talk about this. Congrats on the new format of the show. And of course, everybody can check all those the segments out from every episode up at the Fox 12 Oregon YouTube channel or KPTV.com. So plenty of places to find that. And for everybody watching, this is Fox 12 Now. We're live here every weekday, starting around 1 p.m. Pacific, going throughout the afternoon. So we cover a lot of topics, and you can find all those segments there as well. But I'm going to be watching this one again so I can go through each piece of advice that you gave out as I'm going through my basement tonight. So thank you very much. And for everybody out there, we appreciate you tuning in. We'll talk to you soon with another episode.